everybody, Dr. Carmen Bryant, Psychological Health Consultants and Services with my program Redefining Yourself, a program that was developed for women that are thinking of leaving and needing more information or have left on or recovering from domestic violence. And my specific topic is narcissist abuse recovery. So it's overcoming narcissist abuse. If you have not already, please go to my YouTube channel. It is Dr. Carmen Bryant with a T, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. Hit the subscribe and hit the bell so that you can hear whenever I upload a new video or when I come on live. I usually come on live on YouTube and I come on live on Facebook. On Facebook, I do have a professional Facebook page, which is Psychological Health Consultants and Services. If you want, you can like the page and you can follow me and watch the videos. A lot of times if I do travel, I will only be able to come onto one social media platform, which is usually the YouTube one, so that I can talk to you as I travel. But I wanted to thank you, first of all, for all the new subscribers that have come and all the emails and the questions and the topics and your experiences. I'm really honored that you would feel that comfortable in sharing that information with me, and even following my Facebook page to find that, you know, something that I have to say is valuable to you. And so I will continue making these videos. Please send me your comments and let me know what topics you'd like me to talk about. I'm getting them and I'm writing them down, so I don't, just in case I don't say anything. Sometimes when you guys are putting the comments on the YouTube channel, most of the time I get them in my email so I can see them, you know, I can open them up and view them. But some of the comments didn't come through, so sometimes I have to go back and look on YouTube. There is a comment here, is Miss Marcia Pippins. First of all, welcome. All the new subscribers, welcome for joining. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. I'm really honored. Thank you. And Miss Marcia Pippins, I actually found it while I was looking through the channel of some of the comments, and I didn't know that you had made a comment because it didn't come to my email. I don't know why, but I'm going to read. I read it, and I'm going to read it, and I'm going to respond to it, okay? So this is Miss Marcia Pippins. It says, hello, doctor. Thank you for your videos. They are very informational and helpful. I'm glad. Thank you so much. Can you please do a video on narcissists abusing, preying on women that are going through emotional tough times caused by things like job loss, death, financial hardship, pregnancy, etc. Miss Marcia, if you actually watch my videos, if you go through, and for those of you that are already following me and have watched some of my videos, I can't recall which ones talk about what, because a lot of them you guys pick out what you need in the videos. But if you guys can go back under, it is the last one that I did, the narcissist, some background history of a narcissist, and go look at Miss Marcia Pippins. Can you guys go and make some recommendations of the videos that I made that will cover some of this, about how they prey on people, let's see, the preying on women that are going through emotional tough times caused by things like job loss, death, financial hardship, pregnancy, etc. You said you recently lost your job and needed his help. So obviously you were the narcissist financially. We do not live together. He switched like a light after a week or so and completely shut down on me. First of all, when you and him were together, he found, and I see your picture, and you're a very beautiful young lady. Let me look closer. Hold on. But I see your picture, and you're a gorgeous young lady. So first of all, narc bait. I know it sounds bad, but narc bait, you're a beautiful young lady. So, but a narcissist always gets with people for the purpose of supply. And being that he got with you, you provided him with some source of supply, some type of source of supply, whether it was sexual source of supply, whether it was financial source of supply, you were arm candy. He looked at you not for a relationship. He looked at you because you were a good source of supply. When you begin going through financial hardship and you needed his assistance, of course he's going to switch, because the whatever source of supply whatever fuel you provided for him is not easily accessible with you. You have ran out of some type of fuel that he needed, and so all along he was probably already hoovering someone else. They're never alone. So he was already hoovering or seducing someone else as a secondary source supply, or I have to go back and learn how to pronounce that word. But there are other sources of supply. You're never the only source of supply. You might be the primary source of supply, but there are always other sources of supply. And you ran out of the supply that he needed. So he's already attached to someone else for supply, especially because he shut down on you, because you need something from him that he needed from you. He then began to be open with me and his new supply and disrespected me verbally, which he was not doing prior to me losing my job. You just answered your question. He already had a new source of supply. He already had an additional source of supply, which he took you from being the primary source of supply and switched over for her being the new source of supply. She probably supplies him with more than what you had before, money, maybe whatever, however she looks. But you were depleted, and he did not find any value in anything you had anymore, meaning the supply or the fuel that you provided. And so he switched over from you being the main or the primary source to that. And so now what he's doing is, and he probably already had devalued you while he was with you, but he's devaluing you so that, he's devaluing you. That's what he's doing. Let's see. And of course he wasn't doing that before, because he was trying to go back and look at trauma bonds. Trauma bonds will also talk about how he trauma bonded you to him. He does not show any kind of sympathy due to my situation. It seems like he purposely tries to further hurt me by being overly honest about the new supply, knowing the feelings I have for him. Well, first of all, narcissists do not have empathy. They're incapable of feeling empathy. There's a video that I did on trauma bonds, also on their brain chemistry, and your brain chemistry after abuse. But a narcissist, the portion of their brain that the oxytocin, which helps create bonds, yours was on overdrive. You connected to him and you were bonded. Theirs does not operate like ours. Number two, the portion of the brain that actually helps with the empathetic connection, theirs, I believe, is decreased. But they do not have the capacity of feeling empathy. So you're wanting sympathy from a person that's not capable of showing you empathy or sympathy. He doesn't care. You are a source of supply. That's how narcissists are. They're predators. They're leeches. They're parasites. When I say that, they look for a host to deplete of nutrients. They fuel off of a host. They are a parasite. And so he did exactly what a narcissist did. He fed off of you until you didn't have anything, and then he moved on to another host. And that host is supplying him like a tick. Is supplying him with fuel. And when she runs out of fuel, he's going to move on to the next source of supply. And so, no, he's not going to show you any sympathy. You're looking for an apology. You're looking for help from him. You're not going to get it. Because the trauma bonding, go look at trauma bonding, but they don't have empathy. They're incapable of feeling empathy. They do not have empathy. So they cannot put their feet in other people's shoes. That is totally blocked off. And yes, him hurting you, it's easy because you're trauma bonded to him, so it's easy to hurt you. But he's be prepared. That's what they do. That's what they do. Let me see. That was the whole purpose, to bond you to him, is to make you have feelings for him. Also, he is the father of my first child, 7-year-old. I'm currently pregnant with our second child. Be prepared. You probably will be a single parent. He probably will not be too invested. So you have to be prepared for that. I have been doing a lot of research since then, narcissism, and I learned that he is definitely a narc, so I'm in the process of letting him go and moving on with my life. But I don't see many experts touching on the specific subject. Miss Messia, I hope I pronounced that right, Miss Messia. There are other people that are on here. Hopefully, if you guys could, please go and reply to her comment and direct her to some of my videos. But what I recommend you do is go down to my first video and work your way all the way up. It's going to answer all those questions you just asked me, and I do it. And as you go, each video expands and expounds and explains to you how they think, why they do what they do, how they do what they do. The empathy, not having empathy, the narcissist spectrum, even the empathy spectrum, for those of us that have empathy, what's going on with their brain, what happens to you when you're traumatized, the trauma bonds, how they bond you to them, how they seduce you, how they pull you in, why they do it, what is source of supply, what is fuel, the different levels of narcissism. So each one of my videos explains everything that you were talking about. Now, I may not have put it all and grouped it all into one topic like you did, but I took the time to explain pieces and parts. When you explain pieces and parts, you'll begin to understand what you were dealing with. You're dealing with an individual with a personality disorder that does not change. Personality disorder, especially narcissistic personality disorder, cannot be changed. It is a permanent character flaw. It is a permanent personality disorder and trait that cannot be changed. It does not change. And a lot of them are also, along with that diagnosis, psychopath, sociopath, which is called anti-personality disorder. Some of them, and I do go through the list of what type of narcissists there are. There's the covert. Those are the ones that are, people love them, flock to them. They'll do anything for them. Just really nice people. There are those that are overt, which is very obvious. Everyone knows. You have those that are somatic, which are the ones that are very into their looks, into material possessions. They use sex. Go back and watch the video in reference to how they regard sex. They don't use sex the way that you think that they use sex. As a bonding, they use sex as a tool or a weapon to pull you in, but they don't have any mutual feelings like you do. They don't feel like you do. So in each video it explains it. So Miss Messia, if you take the time as you're learning, go look through my videos. I'm not the only one. I always say there are people like Dr. Les Carter, there's Angie Atkinson, there's Mr. Quinn Holiday from Associate Direct, who's a male who went through narcissist abuse by a female. You have Tanya Melanie Evans, you have Sarah Speaks. All these people along with me do videos and are survivors of narcissist abuse. And so I do talk about it in there. In all the videos, you'll find your answer in those videos, I promise you. And then let me know. And if I did not cover it, which I know I did in those videos, let me know, and then I'll go and do one particular like that you're asking. Let's see. Well, thank you too, Queen. I appreciate that. It's beautiful for a queen to recognize another queen, and I recognize queens. This Beauty Within, you said very interesting. You were commenting off of ghosting and stonewalling. You said very interesting. I'm currently dealing with an ex-narc. We have a 1-year-old together, have been discarded twice, I think. I know he has a new supply, but lately he's been very nice, wanting to have small talk about our daughter, but the conversations have now become an hour or so when he picks her up, asking how I'm doing and confused. So you're confused because he seems happy with the current supply. He's not. He's hoovering you. And he's sucking you back in, and you're falling for it. He seems to be successful at his job and in the community. That is an illusion. He was nasty and mean to me a few months, and not even wanting to return my text in regards of our child. I wouldn't. This is hoovering because he is so in love with the new supply. I'm really confused. Go and watch. Is he happier? Go watch the videos. Miss Beauty Within, I thought you've been watching my videos. Go back and watch the videos in reference to are they happier with the new supply. There's 2 of them that I put out there. No, you're being hoovered. Something has went wrong within the relationship with his new supply, and so now he's hoovering you, or he's hoovering to make sure that he has an open interest to come back, because the new supply has probably found out some stuff about him, and if he's hoovering you again, he probably has not connected or established a new supply that he can go to. So you are being hoovered, and he's using the child, a common thing between the 2 of you, because you're sensitive for your child, so he's using the child to get in. You are now, you need to gray rock. Gray rock means not show your emotions. You need to go back and think about why you left in the first place. Why you 2 is very disrespectful, but why did you 2 leave? If he's so happy with the other supply, why is he being so extra nice to you now? Why, after all the time he was being ugly, did he switch all of a sudden? Something's went wrong in the new relationship. He's hoovering you because he's also searching for new supply, and you will be a pit stop until he finds another supply. So you're being hoovered, Miss Lady. So I need you to think, do you want to go back into that relationship, because it's going to be short-lived and the abuse is going to be worse than the first time because you fell for it, and he's going to look at you as if you're ignorant, you're stupid. And I hate to say it like that, but that's how they're going to view you. But he will be looking for a new supply. You just happen to be a pit stop so that he can fuel quickly while he looks for another fuel. But something has happened in the other relationship where he's now hoovering you. So I need you to be very careful with that, okay? Okay, so let's see. So the topic I wanted to talk about today, I wanted to talk about the narcissists and children. And I was researching it this morning, and I do have a client come in, so I'm going to try to talk as fast as I can. Hopefully you guys get the information I want to convey to you guys, but I wanted to talk to you about the narcissists and the children. I did one on the codependent families and the roles that the children, the family members play. I wanted to go in and I wanted to read this article. I was looking at a whole bunch of different articles, but I found one that I really like, and it's on you go look at the website, the narcissistlife.com, and I don't know who wrote the article. It doesn't say on here who wrote this article. But as I was looking at other articles, this right here described exactly what I had talked about before in different increments, but it explained it so eloquently. So let's go ahead and get on with it. So narcissist mothers and fathers tend to be very intrusive in some ways, yet entirely neglectful in others. Narcissist parents may come off as loving and caring because he or she will have an exclusive and possessively close relationship with their children in order to control and manipulate them. So one of the things is, I said intrusive. Narcissist mothers or fathers are very intrusive. Meaning that, and I'm adding to it as I go. Okay, so this is not an article. I'm adding to this. So one of the things that they do is we teach. For example, we teach our daughters or sons that, they get to a certain age where we don't have to assist them with bathing or grooming practices. We check on them, but we give them their personal space. We give them their personal space. If they're in the bathroom, we give them their personal space. A narcissistic parent does not give their children personal space. They believe they can intrude on them at any time when they're naked. Even the father is going into the bathrooms where the daughters are at and using the bathrooms while they're in there, or leaving the door open, or walking around in their underclothes, or the daughter's in her room getting changed and the father walks in because he's the father, or the mother walking into the son as he's naked, but they feel because they are the parent, they have the right, because the child is an extension. They see the child as an extension of themselves. So let's see. The children are punished if they do not respond appropriately to the parent's needs. Let's see, the punishment may include physical abuse, angry outbursts, narcissistic rages, blame, attempts to instill guilt, emotional neglect, and harsh criticism. Okay, let's see. So let's look at let me scroll down and see where I was at. I want to give, okay, so let's take you through a parent-child cycle. And this is what they're talking about on here, and I thought this was really excellent explanation. Really kind of conveyed my thoughts and some of the things that I have talked to my mentor about and had talked to other people about when I was talking about the parent relationship with a child of a narcissist. And so first thing is that he or she is going to perceive the offspring, or possibly perceive the offspring, as a threat to his or her narcissistic supply, meaning the carrier maybe, or the father. Such attention of his spouse or her spouse or mother, now grandmother, the offspring intrudes on his or her territory and invades his or her personal space, that narcissistic space. The narcissist does his best to belittle them, hurt, even physically, or humiliate them. And these reactions prove ineffective and counterproductive. If these reactions prove ineffective or counterproductive, he may or she may retreat into a period of emotional absence and detachment from the child. So then you guys are wondering, I don't understand why he or she won't connect with this child. The child is considered an enemy as they are competition for scarce narcissistic supply. So let's see. But narcissists see an opportunity in every event. They seek to manipulate the mate by taking over and monopolizing the newborn. They indirectly benefit from the attention directed at the infants. So a narcissistic mother or father, let's say a father, for example, will take they noticed all the attention that the mother is getting or that the infant is getting. And so remember, a narcissist wants that fuel. So what they'll do is they'll almost take the child and not overparent, but now everybody's giving that father that attention, dealing with the child. Dealing with the child. Or women that like to be pregnant, they want that attention, but they don't want the responsibility of raising the children. And so let's see. So what the father may do is closely identify with the child. A narcissistic father secures the admiration of the mother, because the mother may say what a great father he is because he has taken over the role and given her a break, for example. He also assumes the credit for the baby's achievements. So anything that the baby does, he takes the credit for it. Totally eliminates the mother. This is a process of annexation and assimilation of the other as a strategy that the narcissist makes use of in many of his relationships. In the second phase, the narcissist's attitude changes as children grow older. He is able to see their potential to be reliable and satisfactory source of narcissistic supply, male and female. He or she previously looked at them as an enemy, but now he's looking, or she's looking at them as a potential supply. So he encourages the child to idolize them, him or her, to adore him, to admire his deeds and capabilities, and learn to blindly trust and obey him. And the innocence of a child that loves their father, little girls who love their fathers, little boys that love their mothers, they innocently love. It's an innocent, pure love, but the narcissist will exploit that. At this stage, the child is at the risk of child abuse. From emotional incest up to sexual incest is heightened. Molesting or having intercourse, and I've said this in other videos, molesting or having intercourse with their children is as close as a narcissist gets to having sex with himself or herself, as he or she considers them strictly as an extension of themselves. I've said this in another video, and they're conveying exactly what I said. As the children grow older and more mature, they often refuse to continue to be the pawn or the puppet. They may hold grudges against the parent for what he or she has done to them in the past. They can now realistically judge his or her true stature, his talents, and achievements. In this third phase, the child is perceived as no longer meeting his primary role or her primary role as a source of supply. So the parent's emotional reaction is harsh, and the true nature of their pathological relationship is exposed. The narcissist reacts with a breach of an unwritten contract with aggression, contempt, rage, emotional, psychological abuse, not infrequently physical abuse, and he or she tries to destroy the disobedient child and regain the former subservient child. This brings the narcissist back to a full circle in phase one. Now they begin to perceive the sons and daughters as threats, okay, and devalues them and loses all interest in them and becomes emotionally remote, absent, cold, rejects an effort to communicate with him or her, and sometimes gives a reason for his behavior such as life pressures or pressure scares, because they're trying to now get the child back under their persuasion, under their control, but the child has figured out that something is not going on right. These narcissists also will groom their children and making them believe that they may inappropriately touch them, but they are grooming them to believe that this is appropriate and it's okay because I am the father, I am the mother. Inappropriate touches where as a child gets older it feels uncomfortable. They may have been learning or being taught, but even with putting their genitals close to their body, or walking in the room as they're naked, or asking to see because I'm checking as a parent and I want to see. And a lot of times the children are very uncomfortable. You have to make sure that your child understands, first of all, ladies, especially for you single ladies, you make sure that your children understand good touch versus bad touch, and you teach them that in reference to mother and father, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunt, grandparents, whatever. You teach them good touch and bad touch. You teach them they have boundaries, they have the right to say no, and if they feel uncomfortable, they have the right to say something. If it's not being adhered to, and a lot of times when you don't co-parent, when the child is with the other parent, that is the narcissist, you have to be prepared to watch for subtle behavior changes. All of a sudden they withdraw, they don't want anyone touching them. Parents, you have to realize that something has happened. They become very angry. Something has happened. You need to get them in with a specialist, a child specialist, or a doctor. Because some children are afraid to say anything because the parent may have violated them or touched them inappropriately. But they will also use that, and that's why I'm getting to this. So let's get into this so I can explain the rest of that, okay? A narcissist usually lives through one child, their children. So most parents want their children to succeed, but some narcissistic parents, however, set expectations not for the benefit of the child, but for the benefit to fulfill their own selfish needs and dreams. Instead of raising a child who has their own thoughts and emotions and goals and nurture that, their offspring become an extension of the parent's personal wishes, which the child's individuality diminishes. And you can find this on Psychology Today. Let's see. And so they're not raising the child, they're raising the child based off of what they desire themselves, and they can live vicariously through the child because the child is an extension of them. So they marginalize. Some parents, they're threatened by their offspring's potential promises and excesses. And so and challenges the parent's self-esteem. So they compete with their own children. A narcissist mother or father may make a concerted effort to put their child down, so the parent always remains superior. Some examples are competition, nitpicking, unreasonable judgment, criticism, unfavorable comparison, invalidation of positive attitudes and emotion, and rejection of success and accomplishment. You may have a narcissistic mother or father that also antagonizes their children, and as an adult, the narcissist is accustomed to negative or positive fuel. So they'll purposely antagonize their adult children so that the adult child would just totally lose it and go off on them. And then what a narcissistic parent will do is play innocent, like, I can't believe that they would disrespect me, I am their mother or I'm their father. But they purposely antagonize that child. But then the child, kind of the older children, the older children of a narcissist may say, but that's my father or that's my mother, and I have to respect them. And so they don't set boundaries with the parent, and even though the parent may, they explain to the parent, how this is disrespectful, the parent may apologize, but they go back and do the exact same thing. So it doesn't matter if they apologize, they're going to do what they want to do. They may also cut across boundaries and tell you how to raise your family. They intrude into your private life to still try to control you and tell you how to live your life. Any kind of accomplishments that you may have as a child of a narcissist, or the young children or adult children, any accomplishments that you have, if you don't acknowledge it was them, or that, thanks to my mother or father or whatever, they'll downplay your accomplishment. They'll make sure they're not supportive. They make sure that they don't compliment you. They don't say anything about it. They make sure, because they want you to ask them, what do you think? And then when they give you their opinion, like, oh, well, so they play it down because they're competing with you and because they don't have all the attention. They will compete with their children and their children's accomplishments. And if you don't, their whole thing is fuel. You make them look good if you have a narcissistic parent. But they're very vicious. They do things, it's that trauma bonding as well. If you point out or you put boundaries before them, they will make people believe that you are a disrespectful child. You don't honor your parents, if that's, if you come from that type of cultural background. But if you put boundaries down, or you tell them no, they can't handle that because they want what they want. They'll try to manipulate in getting what they want from you. They also want your attention. They'll intrude in your conversations. When you're having conversation with people, they just intrude in your conversation because I'm the parent and I can do that, and you're the child. They don't look at you as an adult child, or as an adult, but they will intrude into your space. They will give you their opinions when you don't request their opinions. They intrude into, if you're married, they will intrude into your marriages. They'll tell you how to raise your kids, and your kids are not their kids. They probably have done a miserable job with their children, but they feel like they have the right to tell you, they're very competitive. A lot of times they may look at age and compare themselves in age, not experience. So that's on and on and on. So the grandiosity and superiority. Many narcissist parents have falsely inflated self-image with a conceited sense about who they are and what they do. Often individuals around the narcissist are not treated as human beings, but merely tools or objects to be used for personal gain. Some children of narcissistic parents are objectified in the same manner, while others are taught to possess the same forged superiority complex. We're better than they are. Superficial image, closely related to grandiosity. Many narcissistic parents love to show others how special they are. They enjoy publicly parading what they consider their superior disposition, be it material possessions, physical appearance, projects, accomplishments, background, membership, contacts to high places, and or trophy spouse or offspring. They go out of their way to seek ego-boosting attention or flattery. So as for the parents, social networking is wonderland where they can regularly advertise how wonderful and envy-worthy their lives are. But they will compete with their own children. And on top of that, if the child has a title such as you're a NASA astronaut, you are a movie, they may not have paid any attention to you until you got into the limelight. Once you get into the limelight, they try to make sure that everyone knows that I'm the parent, I'm this, I am that. They engraft themselves with the child, and the child is so in their minds, that child is an extension of them, so that if you may convey your own personal beliefs, your own personal, they will get angry with you because you do not agree with their beliefs. They do not believe that you can disagree and still love. You have to agree and be under their control. They tell you what to think and how to think, even if what they're saying or what they're thinking is completely wrong, and you may be educated or more experienced than the parent is. Manipulation, common examples of narcissistic parenting manipulations: guilt trip. I've done everything for you and you are so ungrateful. Blaming, it's your fault that I'm not happy. You make me unhappy and you make me feel bad, because you are an unruly or a disrespectful child. Shaming, your poor performance is an embarrassment to this family. What you're doing is just embarrassing us all. And they always use us. They always include everyone, us. This is our opinion, and everyone doesn't think the same way. So they'll always say us, and this is our opinion. Negative comparison, why can't you be like your brother or be like your sister, or this is what your brother and sister does. Unreasonable pressure, you will perform at your best and you will make me proud. So, a child or an adult child or a child, there's nothing that you can do to ever please them. And so the only way that you can please them is by making them look good. Manipulative reward and punishment. If you don't pursue college major I'll choose for you, I will cut off my support. Emotional incarceration, you're not a good daughter or son unless you measure up to my expectation. And a common theme through the forms of manipulation is the love is given as a conditional reward rather than a natural expression of healthy parenting. On the other hand, withholding love is a use as threat and punishment. Inflexible and touchy, certain narcissistic parents are highly rigid when it comes to expectation and behaviors of their children. They regulate their offspring on minor details and can become upset when they are deviated from that. Lack of empathy, we've talked about that. Dependency and codependency, I talked about that on another video, that they expect their children to take care of them for the rest of their lives. This type of dependency can be emotional, physical, and financial. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with taking care of older parents, it's an admirable trait. The narcissist parent typically manipulates an offspring into making unreasonable sacrifices with little regard for the offspring's own priority and needs. So they will superimpose themselves on their offspring, and at times they will get to a point where they will give up everything that they have in order to make themselves destitute and to force you into taking care of them. Jealousy and possessiveness. The mother and father often hopes that the child will permanently dwell under the parent's influence, or she or he may become extremely jealous at any signs of the child's growing maturity and independence, especially if you, in most communities you may call someone auntie, you may, as a sign of affection, you may call someone mother or father. This is my mother, my father, my adopted parents, or but they're very, very jealous and possessive over their children. They do not, they are not secure in the fact that you're my child, but they are very angry if you do things for other people and you're not doing enough for them. But you never can do enough for narcissistic parents, ever. They will neglect you in order to hurt you. That's the same as the trauma bonding. So they will purposely neglect you, and they are more involved with their own self-interest and absorbed with themselves than with you as a child. It says here they may choose to focus primarily on his or her self-absorbing interests, which to the narcissist is more exciting than child raising. These activities may provide this narcissist with stimulation, validation, and self-importance he or she craves, be it career obsession, social flamboyance, or personal adventures and hobbies. The child is left either to the parent or on its own. So even with parents that like to dress their kids up with really nice clothes, there's some parents, of course, we like to see our children look good, but there are some parents that do it because an extension of themselves. Twinsies, they make the child identify with them. Everything that the parent does, the child is going to do, and what I tell you to do is what you're going to do, and how I tell you to think is how you're going to think. So hopefully this has helped today, to give you some information, to give you a little bit about, what was the topic? I said the topic was narcissists and children. But hopefully this has taught you something. So hopefully this is giving you some insight and some information in reference to a parent-child relationship. Ladies, be very careful, especially, when you have men that are also sociopaths, psychopaths, that are looking for single parents that are desperate in need of help with their children or look desperate. You have to show your children affection. You have to make sure that you educate your children, good touch, bad touch, even with their own parents. give the information out there, plant the seed in them so that they will recognize it and they won't feel ashamed. Keep an open environment where you can talk to your children, that if something has happened, the child will be able to come and talk to you. Because if a child has been violated, a lot of times they're afraid to say anything because the other parent, the narcissistic parent, may have threatened them. Okay, and that goes for males and females, because there are female narcissists that have molested their male children and female children, but has molested their male children and actually had sexual relationships with them. So hopefully this has helped. If you have not already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Is Dr. Carmen Bryant, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse, or make sure you hit the bell too so that you can see whenever I upload or go live. I also have the Facebook, Psychological Health Consultants and Services. Hit the like button, and thank you guys so much. I have a client, so I'm going to go now. You guys, thank you so much, and go and be great.